We talked about General Electric not paying any taxes. And we talked about, of course, it's the unemployed people making $250 a week that are dragging down the economy. And we're so broke, but we always have money for wars. But GE pays no taxes. Well, the curious thing, and if you watch this show regularly enough, it's probably completely obvious to you. Some people are calling it curious that even though the story was mentioned on a bunch of major corporate media outlets, there was one exception, NBC News. Nightly News with Brian Williams did not mention a word about the GE pays no taxes story. And can I really criticize them? It is completely driven by the interests of General Electric. And we know, of course, Comcast involved in the buyout with NBC. Who's surprised about this, Lewis? This is a case in point why you cannot rely on corporate media in general. Not so much because of what you are being told, even though that's a big part of it, but because of just what doesn't make it into the narrative based on the influence of money on that particular station. What better example than this is there?
Perfect.
I mean, it's everywhere. You're hearing about GE pays no taxes. What does this mean? What kind of a system, what kind of an economy do we want? What kind of a system do we live in? Well, I thought we were broke. Just not a word from Brian Williams. And you know what? They had time. That story they didn't do, Lewis. But they had time to include a story about how slang expressions such as LOL and OMG are going to be included in the Oxford English Dictionary. That story they had time for. GE pays no taxes, but we're blaming unemployed people on $1,000 a month salary. No, that's not the right story for Brian Williams.
Well, unfortunately, independent media outlets are not as available, I guess, as they should be.
They're available. They just don't have the reach. I mean, think about it.
Not as widespread.
No, of course. We don't have the backing that Brian Williams has. We're giving a critique. I don't have anybody breathing down my back about, hey, you know what? That GE money, we need that GE money. Don't criticize GE. Mm-hmm. And by the way, when GE received TARP money.
What if GE did offer you money, Dave?
To do what?
Not mention the story. Would you take it?
No, I would make that a public story. I would use it, and I would.
What if they offered you $100 million?
This is like one of those things. Would I prefer to have 2 fingers cut off, or would I prefer
$100 million, Dave? You didn't answer the question.
It's just not a real question.
Oh, here, see? Okay. Continue.
Thank you. This is not without precedent, because when GE received TARP money, we didn't hear about any of that on the MSNBC shows. I mean, we just didn't. And it's just, I'm not surprised. That's just, if you were happy with that type of manipulation of what news you are getting, then stick with the corporate media. If you're not, find other alternatives. And if you're hearing me now or watching us now, you probably already have.